Hello, for Project 3 on the Pareto Principle, we are Team 7. Sarah Leach, Frank Vollmer, Joe Udvari, Clint Martin, and George Weaver. The Pareto Principle says that 20% of something is responsible for 80% of the results. The principle derived from Vilfredo Pareto, an Italian economist, in 1906. He discovered that 20% of the people own 80% of the wealth in Italy. The few are vital and the many are trivial in most cases. It is also referred to as the 80-20 rule. The description of unequal distribution in his country influenced other people in the 30s and 40s to see similar trends in individual fields of expertise. One of the first people to do this was Joseph Giron. The Pareto Principle is a rough guide involving typical distributions. It is considered to be more of an observation than an actual law or theory.
All right, the Pareto Principle can be applied to just about every aspect of life and business in a variety of ways. The Pareto Principle has a very strong influence on business, but can be applied to personal aspects as well. Some of the potential aspects where the Pareto Principle can be applied in everyday life could be in your relationships, your career, your family, your personal goals, or your social life. For example, if we took the relationship aspect of your everyday life, an individual could list the 5 most important factors that constitute the satisfaction received from their current relationships. Then, by choosing and applying the single most important factor, which in this case would make up the 20%, one could expect to receive 80% of the overall satisfaction received from their relationship.
How does this principle apply to business? It has been said that one of the major reasons for organizations failing is their inability to stick with the few but vital important issues. The basic rule that applies to business activity is that 80% of the results come from 20% of one's activities. Organizations get bound up with unimportant issues. We can all be busy running around in circles doing a lot but actually achieving little. This merry-go-round syndrome ensures that a business is headed down the road for disaster. Recognize what is important and move toward your company's goals, and concentrate on the few important items. Most people have heard about the 80-20 rule, and it can be used in most environments. This slide shows a handful of situations where the rule has come into play. Take, for example, a company that produces 2 items. The company identified that an item consumes 80% of one's costs. Their concentration should be on these items. Spend the time on these items to establish the proper procedures, because the small savings on these items can increase profits and reduce waste cost. On the other 20%, they do little to boost your profits, so spending more time on them is going to increase your costs.
Some business examples for sales and productivity. Are 80% of your sales coming from 20% of the employees? It's important to consider where your sales are coming from. This might not be the fault of the sales force. How are the sales regions divided? Are there more customers in one region than another? This information will be helpful for you to target your customer base more accurately. Are 80% of the sales transactions occurring 20% of the time the business is open? Can you decrease the number of employees on hand during the slow times? Or is it possible to boost sales for slow and non-selling products or services during these slow times? How about customer retention? Do 80% of your sales come from 20% of your customers? Knowing who your profitable clients or customers are is very important. As a manager or a company beginning to market for new business, knowing who your profitable customers are would be a focus you would want to consider. Does 80% of your customer service calls come from only 20% of your clients? Is it worthwhile to spend 80% of your time servicing only 20% of your customer base? Would you save money by firing those 20% of service-needy clients? This concludes our presentation. Thank you very much for watching. Please contact us directly if you have any further questions.